Hello, students, teachers, parents, history nerds. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nutshelled History, where we lay out the facts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We continue with our early American series by looking at the French and Indian War. Don't forget, there's a link for a fill in the blank worksheet in the description. By the mid 1700s, the major powers of Europe were in a worldwide struggle for control. They wanted to control everything. In 1753, the French began building forts to back their claim to the Ohio River Valley and prevent the British colonies from expanding west. The presence of the French forced American Indians living in the area to choose sides. The Algonquin and Huron sided with the French. Remember, the French were usually nicer to the American Indians. The British found a valuable ally in the Iroquois, who saw the French as a trade rival. The Virginia colony, who wanted in on the fur trade, disputed France's claim, but sacre bleu, the French refused to withdraw. So, the governor of Virginia sent soldiers, led by a young version of the guy on the quarter that's in your pocket, to build a fort where the Ohio River forms. For those of us that don't carry cash anymore, that's George Washington. Well, even though they wanted to build a fort there, you can't always get what you want. The French were already building Fort Duquesne there. Despite a successful surprise attack on a group of French scouts, Washington and his men were overwhelmed when the larger French force counterattacked. A large French army forced Washington and his men to return home to Virginia. Then, colonial delegates met in Albany, New York. At the meeting, Benjamin Franklin presented his Albany Plan of Union. Under this plan, colonial assemblies would elect a council that had authority over Western settlements, as well as the power to organize armies and collect taxes to pay war expenses. The Albany Congress agreed to the plan, but the colonial assemblies, fearful of losing power, rejected it. Again, you can't always get what you want. In 1755, the British government got in on the action and sent General Edward Braddock to push the French from the Ohio River Valley. Braddock did not know how to fight in the wilderness. As Braddock's British troops and Virginia militia neared Fort Duquesne, the French and their American Indian allies attacked. Braddock and his men were easy targets because of their noisy movements and bright red uniforms. Duh. The general and more than half of his men were killed. The next 2 years held more disastrous losses for the British and their Iroquois allies. When William Pitt became Britain's prime minister in 1757, he was determined to win the war in North America. He appointed better generals, and the tide of the war turned. In 1758 and 1759, the British captured the fort at Louisbourg and Fort Duquesne, among others. They then attacked Quebec, the heart of New France and a key supply point. Led by James Wolfe, 4,000 British troops surprised the French forces commanded by General Montcalm. The British won. In 1763, the two countries signed the Treaty of Paris. France surrendered almost all of its North American possessions to Britain and Spain. That proves that if you try sometimes, you get what you need. Recap time. Britain and France wanted everything. They both wanted to build forts in the Ohio River Valley. The French did. George Washington picked a fight and lost. War eventually started with most of the Indians fighting with the French, and that's why it's called the French and Indian War. Bad generals and bright red uniforms cost the British lots of lives. William Pitt picked better generals. The better generals won, and the French were pretty much kicked out of North America. The Indians were the real losers in this war because, well, you'll see. Oh, and I'm a bad singer. And that is the French and Indian War nutshell. Thanks for stopping by Nutshelled History. Don't forget to go nuts on the like and subscribe buttons. What team would you have been on this war? Let us know in the comments down below.